Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apple, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent. We dive into the stream service. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. And we say we always dive into the streaming services, but today we've dove into the number one streaming service, like just old time OG streaming services.
Not for long, because they're
going down.
They're doing too many dummy things. They've been watching us, and they've gone, hey, how do these guys perform? How do these guys operate? Let's take a leaf out of these books. I don't know who decided to do that.
Just create content. Doesn't matter how good it is, but just put it out.
Yeah, that's right.
We dove into Netflix and we watched Enola Holmes. Doyce.
2.
We're here.
We're here,
Vincent.
And you've had shenanigans that have occurred.
I mean,
in the hour leading up to this podcast.
I mean, in the hour leading up to this here podcast, like the podcast where we.
So
the Back Catalogue podcast.
So I mean, that's.
We'll break that down in AD.
We'll break that down in AD.
Where we'll break down further.
That's right. So if you like what you hear right now, because this is it. This is it. This is the pinnacle of the content that we produce. So if you like this, Patreon, there's more of that there.
Well, that's the pinnacle though. The Patreon is all pinnacle.
Patreon is all pinnacle. That's where we do our best work.
It's all pinnacle all the time.
Because you got to get paid to do your best work.
Exactly.
I remember one time I was about to incriminate myself, but I remember one time I was washing my car at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And a family member lives around me, and he rang me and he goes, "Hey, I see your car's getting nice and clean." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you don't have work today." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you can just clean your car." I said, "I'm getting paid to clean my car." I said, I make my money work for me.
That's exactly right. And like for all they know, you were doing it in your lunch break.
That's right.
That's when you did it.
That's exactly what I did.
Because we don't incriminate ourselves on the Back Catalogue podcast, the podcast where we do the right thing. Vincent, can I just give you a couple of facts before we get into this?
Yes, bro.
This has got numbers. This has got the 6 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 92% on the Rotten Tomatoes. Boys.
No way this is.
That's like me just going bong. I've hit something, right?
No
Not
way.
Not the bong. I didn't hit the bong.
I've just hit something that went Stop making jokes. Is this got 92% on the Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm telling you what I'm telling you. It's got a 92% on the tomato meter. So that's off of 79 reviews. And I'm talking about like reviews that we could get if you rate us 5 stars on the podcast app.
Bro, these are paid reviews.
And 81% audience score.
Bro,
1,000+ ratings.
Big Netflix is big streaming is paid for these for sure. Because we'll get into it, but this is.
Let me just tell you one really important thing. Enola Holmes takes on her first case as a detective, but to unravel the mystery of a missing girl, she'll need some help from friends and brother Sherlock. Bro, he's here. The biggest, most Jack Sherlock you've ever seen.
Bro, honestly, anytime I see Henry Cavill, I'm astounded at his dimensions. Man's as wide as anything, broadest shoulders you've ever seen. He's got them, them old-timey trench coats.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably wear them now. Like, that's fashion, but I don't do that fashion. I just wear Back Catalogue merch.
Yeah, that's right. You can find that.
You can't find it. It was a limited release. It was a limited release. We've still got some because we didn't actually sell them all, but it was limited.
But that's also because sizing was messed up.
Bro, sizing
like the sizing of this Sherlock, because he's too big.
Dude, he's looking huge. They had to, I reckon in the sets, they had to increase the width of the footpath for him.
Like, I don't know what sort of tea they had back then, but if it's the tea that I'm thinking of, then I can see why he's so big. And that's all I'm saying. But let me just tell you some quick facts about this, right? So this is what's this website called? Sportskeeter.com. Sportskeeter.com. Now, this is talking about Enola Holmes. How much did Millie Bobby Brown get paid for the Netflix film? Besides her breathtaking acting, Brown made history by reportedly receiving $10 million to reprise her role as Enola Holmes, titular, if you will. So that's pretty crazy, man. That's a young person making big money.
Well, why is it she breaking records? What's going on?
Well, I mean, how many 18-year-olds you know out there making 10 million?
Is it because of her age? Is that the thing?
This is what they're saying. They're saying breaking records, but I could say
But
we're breaking records.
But Sports Skeet is not actually giving us records.
No, so I think here we go. No, they haven't got nothing about record breaking. They've just got
they're not citing anyone.
They got photos of Millie Bobby Brown just with the Louis Vuitton family. So that's just what it is. This Sports Skeeter, it's probably not where you want to go and get your news, but if that's all you got, you get it from there.
Well, the advantage of the internet is that's by definition that's not all you've got.
This is true.
So don't go to Sports Skeeter, because if they're just throwing out things like, yeah, bro, it's a record, and then you ask them and you say, just trust us.
But also, there's a couple of things I want to get into. We talked a bit about Henry Cavill. We can circle back to Henry Cavill. And he's not a circle of a man, he's a square of a man, because he's just that big. What I really want to talk about, they mentioned it there, but the breathtaking acting. I want to talk about Millie Bobby Brown as the titular Enola Holmes, because I don't think that's necessarily the issues here. At least the issues that you might be presenting, but it might be entirely the issues.
I'm just waiting for my moment to start throwing out slander.
I also want to just talk about let's just get into the slander, because I haven't got enough time to be.
Bro, this movie sucked. This was one of the worst movies I have ever watched. This was one of those movies that was just so unenjoyable that I was just frustrated, and because I put the work in. I'm always watching the entire movie.
Oh, you're there.
I'm there. I'm watching the entire movie. This was 2 hours and 10 minutes of trash.
It's a long movie for what it is.
There was a time when I was like, this is, they're doing like love things. Hey, bro, I love you. Oh, I love you too, Enola Holmes. Like, you're the one and only one for me, baby. And they were doing it for like 15 minutes. And it was so obvious it was coming, and that's fine. But it just dragged on, and it was so... I swear the acting in this movie was like absolute B tier. I reckon they cashed out on Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill. Mm. My goodness.
Well, I mean, if they're paying Millie Bobby Brown's 10 milli.
Yeah, but Netflix got money.
I'm not talking 10 Millie Bobby Brown. I'm talking $10 million, right? They paid her 10 milli. They're surely paying Henry Cavill. I'm talking about 25 mil.
Oh, they'd have to.
Like, you got Henry Cavill in
This was one of the most frustrating movies.
Give me some of your frustrating points.
Oh, it was just, everything was kind of drawn out. Mm. And it was just, bro, I honestly was just, I'm just so heated. I can't even think of the things.
Well, this is what we have to do here. We have to think of the things and
so
present
you start talking things and I'll tell you, because I've forgotten now. I watched it yesterday. I've forgotten.
See, I watched parts of this. In parts.
Yeah.
Because I got to about 10 o'clock last night and I hadn't watched this movie.
Yeah.
And I was doing like physiotherapy, like recommended exercises.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't really want to watch this movie. But, we've got a show to do. So I skipped through a couple things. I'll be honest with you. I skipped through a couple things. There's a couple parts where they're a bit slower. You can skip through them. Just a couple 10 seconds forwards, a couple hundred of those, right? But here's the thing. You put something in old-timey England. You have people with respiratory issues like walking around the streets just coughing. You have just scum on the streets. And I'm not talking about like the people. I'm talking about like they're throwing stuff out there. I'm talking about soap scum. I'm talking about just spittoon scum, right?
Spittoon scum.
They're throwing it out the windows. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying this setting because it's the most disgusting setting ever. We talk about the worst times in history. This, for many people, they consider it to be the best time in history because it's like, Jane Austen. I want my Mr. Darcy, right? People want that Mr. Darcy. And if it looks like Henry Cavill, and I know that's not his character in this, but you'd be wanting a piece of Mr. Darcy. Yeah,
but when you find out he's got spittoons all over his shoes.
Well, the spittoons, it's not the issue if the spittoons are on his shoes. It's the issue if the contents of the spittoons spill on his shoes.
What are spittoons?
The spittoons for spitting into. Like your tobacco, Your
not wacky
tobacco.
I thought they were the product.
No. Yeah, that's what they spit it into. But that's only if you're doing that tobacco. I'm talking about you're dipping. You got it in your cheek, and you're just sucking on it. Which that's a groundbreaking element for just toxicity of the body.
Also, one of the worst looks.
I don't know, man. You see a Clint Eastwood type walking around.
Nah. You got a toothpick in your mouth. That's a look.
That is a look.
That's a look. You got your tongue in your your lips there.
Well, your tongue's not in your lips. The tobacco is.
Yeah, whatever.
But it looks like it.
It's not a look. It's not a look.
All right, what about this, right? You got the toothpick in. You got the white singlet on. Sweat on the white singlet. You got the chest hair poking out. And then on top you got like your t-shirt, but it's made into like a makeshift hat because it's real hot and you're working outside. Is that the look?
I haven't seen that before.
That's just our culture.
But that sounds like a look.
So what was I getting at? Yeah, I love this point in time because you see people walking around in like 3-piece suits, sweating.
Yeah.
Just in the absolute scum of old-timey London, right?
Yeah, most of the time when Enola Holmes was running, I was just thinking, man, she'd be rapid if she didn't have like a 16-piece undergarments and her dress and all these.
Yeah. How are you going to do parkour with a 6-piece?
You can't. You got to respect the people that did parkour in the 6-piece.
Yeah, and if you gave someone a 6-piece and a soda, they still wouldn't be able to do it, right? But just in the 6-piece of suits, like that's even harder. I think for what this movie is for and who this movie is for is not for us. It's a movie for teens. This is a teen romance movie.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was thinking. The whole time I was like, who is this movie for? But it doesn't even feel like a teen movie.
Apparently and this is hard because Netflix won't come out and say like, hey bro, they'll say this has got numbers.
That's right, because they can say whatever they want.
Right? Like we could say the back catalogue got numbers, but like for some reason they don't show the public.
Yeah.
Like we've got our numbers out there. We're not afraid, bro. If we get 9 views, we'll get 9 views. We'll walk away better men for it.
That's right. We'll put it on the thumbnail next time.
We get 9 views.
We get 9 views. That's gone on the thumbnail of this video.
Dude, do the thumbnail, how to get 9 views. And if we get lower than 9, like that is too funny.
Oh, man.
How to get 9 views consistently on your videos. Like that's the title. And we get
tutorial.
And we get 8. Just off the gold bar.
Man.
I mean, that's when you've succeeded.
That's hilarious. That's also hilarious. This is what we're talking about in our podcast, and this is funny to us, but in the grand scheme of things, this is
as in it's not funny to other people.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
That's right.
I think that the rapport between Sherlock and Enola Holmes. I mean, what is rapport between someone and Sherlock Holmes, right? Man's is built like a robot. He doesn't really show emotions, but I actually enjoyed them together. I think they bounce off each other well.
They were probably the best parts.
Yeah.
I just think, for me, if I'm going to sum up this movie, it was just too much of nothing put into the story.
What about when she was at the park eating like a muffin? And the man's walked past.
That was hilarious.
I don't be eating muffins usually.
That was one of the best parts.
I laughed at that bit
because I actually like Millie Bobby Brown, and I liked when she was narrating. I actually thought that was quite well done a lot of the time. But I just think, honestly, maybe it was just the story was just boring to me.
Do you think it was just extended too long? Like you put this an hour and a half.
Look, man,
smash it out.
We talked about death on the Nile or death of the Nile. Like both are happening right now.
Yeah.
I think we did that in the Patreon. We didn't do it. Yeah. Anyway, I watched that movie. That is a top tier trash movie, but I was there for it. I was there on the edge of my seat. I was there. I was in a hotel room. We were watching it. We got room service. My partner was like, "Hey, this is going to get cold." Not the movie. The steak's going to get cold. And I was like, "Bro, I don't care. Like, this man's going to find out who killed the Nile." And it's global warming. Right.
Yeah. It's global warming. I mean, Musk probably has something to do with it.
Bro, he's definitely got. He's got an agenda to occupy Mars. He doesn't want us here.
Yeah. You didn't know that Tesla's actually like they increase global warming.
They increase global warming. That's right.
Each Tesla purchased, but that's not a statement that we stand by. It's just what we've seen. But
yeah,
it's not a true statement.
This mystery was. I don't know if it was the way that the movie was structured, or if it was the actual mystery. It just didn't seem interesting to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that, here's the thing. I think that the first one was successful.
I remember half enjoying the first one.
Did we watch that for this podcast?
We watched it for this podcast, a podcast where we did that.
I don't remember watching it.
We definitely did this.
Did I not watch it and just said I watched Enola Holmes?
Maybe.
Because when I saw because at the start there's a lot of very much like the back catalogue, they go to the back catalogue of Enola Holmes and they show parts from number 1. Maybe I have watched this movie. And I do remember it being... No, I don't know if I watched it, but anyway.
Dude, I reckon we did it, but the problem is our podcast gets that little views. I'm looking at it on Spotify. I've typed in Enola review. Right, we ain't coming up.
No, you won't come up.
No,
I mean, you'll never come up.
We'll never come up.
What was I going to say? I think that I can't remember. I can't remember, man. I can't remember.
I remember quite enjoying the first. Well, at least half enjoying it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. I think that both of these movies are perfectly fine. I think that Millie Bobby Brown leads this really well. I was worried that you were going to say that she wasn't doing a good job.
No, she's a good actress.
Yeah, I think that the fourth wall breaks, all that kind of stuff, adds a bit of fun to this character.
Yeah, I think also it was hard for me to. You're an old timer. You got spittoons. You got just like smog in the air. Yeah. It's one of the dirtiest times. You're going home in your 3-piece suit. You're taking off a 4-piece suit because the first layer is just like soot. All right, yeah. But the problem with I don't know if this might be a me issue. I'm looking at that and I'm going, this is too clean for what it actually is.
Yes,
like they're working in match factories. They're doing these things, and it's like, oh, there's a rat here, and it looked too fake to me almost. I don't know, but I think that might be a me issue rather than.
What about did this make you feel disgusting when you saw that in the initial part of this movie, when it's like, it's thyroid fever out here. It's thyroid fever, right?
Thyroid?
Yeah, it's thyroid fever, right? And then you seen that lady come in and her cheek big as hell. And she's like, bro, I got thyroid. And they're like, open your mouth. And like, lady doesn't even need to open her mouth for people to know that she got thyroid, right? What about the grossness of that, but also the gross mistrust of them to be saying that there's thyroid in the air when it's actually just poison at the match factory?
Do you want to get into like corporations and corporate greed and things like that?
I'm just saying, you're saying it's not disgusting. It looked pretty disgusting to me.
No, but in terms of what it looked like on film and what it would have actually been like. And obviously it's a film, it's not going to be like that, and it's a movie aimed at teenagers.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make the next Twilight, and Jukesbury and Enola Holmes might be I was about to say Russell. What's his bloke's name?
Russell, man. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know who you're talking about. You just
Twilight man.
Oh,
Edward, and the other lady.
Yeah.
And they're trying to recreate that. And
I mean, if there's anyone to remake Twilight, especially to be Bella, I mean, you got Millie Bobby Brown there.
You got Millie Bobby Brown, and Jukesbury, he's a fine whatever character.
He's not pale enough. He looks too healthy.
he looks like he's been to the sun. The sun, he gets his 15 minutes of sunshine.
Well, he does because man's walks to work,
That's right, dude. His vest was fresh as hell, though.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you wear a top hat and a vest, like I won't do it
because he's doing botany things. You see his house. You walk into his house, bro. It's a jungle in there,
dude. It's like underbelly in there.
I haven't seen Underbelly.
Yeah, it's at the start of it says it's jungle out there.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's just like Underbelly.
I mean, that's a reference to an Australian thing that you and I know.
I've now recognised that, yes, that is an Australian thing that I've never watched.
So, do you think that... What if this movie was released as like a Sherlock series, and you got Enola Holmes just cracking like 45-minute to an hour cases? Like what came out with the Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was about this movie that made me so uninterested, but I was just frustrated the whole time. I think maybe also targeted to teens, so understandable. It was very, oh, hey, this is what happened. Oh, I can see this. Oh, and then it's because of the lipstick on here and they've got the same thing. Yeah. And I understand that's Sherlock things.
Which I'll get into that. I hate that. But
I don't like that because... You're giving everything. You're giving everything to the audience, as well.
But also, this is the part of it that I hate.
What?
You're giving everything to the audience. That's fair enough. You're allowed to hate that, especially if it's happening. As they're figuring out, you're figuring out as well. You don't get the opportunity to actually like.
Well, that's the thing because they're figuring out everything. There's nothing that you go, oh, it was from that. Yeah. It's like you don't even get to have that realization because the second that they go, oh, there's wool on here, and then this cigar is not actually cold, and like man's actually didn't get killed by, it was staged.
Yeah, man's alive,
And you don't have the time to do it. I mean, obviously you're not there to go, hey bro, this cigar cold. Like, nah, bro, I can't do anything with this.
Can't do anything with it. What I was also going to say was, and I know it's Sherlock things, but it's stuff where it's like, someone, this is the Benedict Cumberbatch show, someone walks into the room and they're like, yeah, I solved it. Like, man's solved the case.
Yeah.
Person hasn't said it, man's solved the case.
Yeah.
And people are like, bloody hell, that shit. He's one of the smartest individuals on screen. And that's what I used to think. When I first watched the Sherlock show, the Benedict Cumberbatch one, I was like, bro, this guy, can you believe this guy's cracking cases? He hasn't even seen the case yet.
Like, he sees the dude's fingernails and he's going, yeah, yes, that's the man.
That's the man. That's your man.
Yeah.
That's your man that you scratched and killed because his DNA is underneath your fingerprints. I figured it out.
I can see it. I got fingerprintal
scanning systems.
Dude,
yeah. I've never heard of fingerprintal scanning systems, but I like them. I feel like when we've got a sleuthing / detective experience on film, I want to see some sleuthing / detecting. Really, when you walk into a room and you look at a lipstick and you go, that's the lipstick from before. That's not sleuthing or detecting. That's just as you said, progressing the plot and showing the audience.
That's just like, lipstick. Okay, I've seen this before. I've got a photographic memory, so I know exactly when that was. Yeah. And hey, I'll show you guys where that was.
Yeah. And I'd love to have a photographic memory, but I don't know what it would serve me.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have to take any photographs.
But what if it's like, this is a memory, my parents are like, hey, take a photograph of your trip. Yeah, I took them.
But you can then learn how to draw real well, and then you can just draw them.
That's true. If I can do that.
Hey, Ma, don't worry. This is my little boy walking. Just like a stick figure. Perfect memory. Photographic memory.
Look how good that looks, Ma.
Ma, your son's a genius.
Let's talk about our ratings because I'm done with this movie.
Yeah. Also, actually, another thing that frustrated me, the end of this movie.
There was the typhoid when you figured out the typhoid?
No. The part where the Sarah Chapel
Jessica
Street
Parker.
or whatever,
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker, she's in there and she gets up and she makes this speech and it's the most uninspiring speech I've ever heard in my life. And then she's like, stand with me. Let's walk out of this place. And all the ladies are just like standing there. And then her sister starts.
Now, you got to say where they are because you just said, I thought you were saying in the house that May died in. The
I'm
way
saying
that
at
you
the
explained
end,
it.
bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying for the people.
What people? What people?
This is how you get 9 views on a podcast. Click the link.
Okay, so
Sign
at
up
the
to
end,
Patreon.
at the end when they're
at the smoke factory. They're at the
match factory,
yes.
where they've worked out, this is the big conspiracy to save costs. They're using phosphorus instead of, I don't know, phosphates or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's causing these girls who are working there to get typhus.
Typhoid.
Typhus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
And at the end, the main dude who was in cahoots with all the government officials and all the the match factory heads, he burns up all their evidence and they got nothing. And then Millie Bobby Brown goes, "Don't worry, we've got each other," which is great. But like you're about to die from typhus. So
I mean, typhoid's coming through to you,
dude. Typhoid is coming through for you.
Yeah.
And so then they try to do a walkout of the factory.
Yeah.
And the first thing you think is, you got to do you got to have a pretty inspiring speech for these girls who are, I'm assuming, mostly homeless or,
if not, they're trying to make ends meet.
That's right. They're trying to make ends meet. And there's not a lot of work out there, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're wanting them to quit their job and just go out into the ether with no dollary dues. And you know what happens when there's no dollary dues.
I mean, that's when you end up jumping into Jack the Ripper types. Maybe that's number 3. Maybe that's Enola Holmes.
Maybe that's number 3.
Like
but anyway, she gets up on whatever. I didn't listen to what you're saying. I'm gonna just tell the people. All right, these 8 people, and this lady.
It's gone down to 7. My goodness.
Oh my goodness. This lady does this speech and it's so uninspiring and all the girls are looking at her like, oh yeah, we need the money, whatever. And then her sister starts stamping her feet. Mm-hmm. And then they all start stamping their feet and then they walk out.
I mean, that resonates with people, I think, the stamping of the feet. Because it's like, I'm standing my ground and not staying at this place. I'm putting my foot down is what I meant to say.
Yeah, that's great, but like, yeah. The thing is, this was based on true events. This thing, And
It was.
That's right. And it's a pretty monumental thing to happen, and it was pretty, significant in history. And I feel like they did it very, very poorly because, like I said, the speech this lady said was like, they've got typhus, like they're doing typhus things. And then she was going, walk out with me. What are you just standing there?
And I mean, she can say that, especially she's like, she's got 3-4 jobs going. She's like at the dancing place, she's at the singing place, right?
That's true. She's doing matches singing.
That's right. So I know I totally understand about that. She almost walked out alone.
Yeah, but it just felt like that whole ending just felt like, well, this is how it ended, in the past. So this is just how we're going to end it. And it didn't feel realistic.
But what if that's verbatim what they said?
If that's verbatim what they said, I'm sure that would, there'd be a bit more emotion there.
Okay. So you're not saying what the person has said. You're saying the reaction to what the person has said.
Look, I'm thinking the whole scene. I'm not out here making scripts. I'm not out here directing.
Because if I told you, right, all right, so this is what happened, right? So there's 3 dudes, right? One of them's named Buzz, right? The other one, I can't remember what the other guy's name is, but don't even worry about him, right? There's the moon. They step out on it, right? Too boring. This is what happens now. There's a third guy, his name's Peter. There's a second guy, his name's Buzz. There's another guy, I can't remember his name. They come out on the moon. There's motherfucking aliens out there.
Right.
Like, what do you want them to do? Like, this is what happens.
They're not going to have the speech. There's no way. Even if that was... Bro, at the end of the day, this is a movie. This is here for entertainment. If they're just saying, hey, walk out with me. All right, let's stamp our feet. All right, let's go. And they're all walking out holding hands. Like they ain't going to starve in the next 2 weeks.
Maybe they were starving then, and that's why they just thought it was a good idea.
I'm not saying the situation... Bro, I'm saying that the way they portrayed it on cinema, on the silver screen, Netflix sucks. This was why I don't like it. This movie was too frustrating. Yeah. Everything was drawn out. They're bloody saying, oh, yeah, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then it's trash. It was trash. I hated this movie. I was so frustrated.
Well, you know what, dude? I'm going to give this movie a flat 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 0.9.
That's fair.
Honestly, this is just better than The Ugly Dachshund.
But what about Henry Cavill's?
Henry Cavill's top tier.
Yeah, see.
But they're not giving... Like, he's doing these bank things and he's not even really working it out. He's working out in his head and then he's going, oh, hold on. Hey, can you just put like all the words there so it says the name? Yeah. That's what he's doing basically. Because he's going, oh my goodness, I've worked it out. And then he works it out and you go, Henry Cavill, you genius, bro.
Like if we could do stuff in post, we'd make this podcast better.
That's right.
But we can't.
We can't.
Well, that's what it is, Vincent. That was Enola Holmes too. This has been the Back Catalogue.
Talk soon.
Yes.